One of the key components to understand when it comes to habitat improvement and especially if a person's going to try to manage whitetails, which is a lot like herding cats, to be brutally honest with you, is understanding what mature bucks want and need. What we're going to talk today about, frankly, is mature buck bedding. If you can control the mature buck bedding on your property, there is huge advantages, because now you've got bedding and preferably you got enough space to put in some food, and that means that when they get up, you can make it so you're the first stop as well before they end up crossing any property lines. And then, hopefully before first light, they jump back over that fence and they're hitting your food source at first light on their way back to their bedding area. They're huge advantages. So, the catch to all this, though, is that not every property is going to work for bedding. You know, if you've got a 10-acre property and it's perfectly flat and just across the road it's got all sorts of glorious bedding ridges and swamps and all this stuff, don't waste your time trying to get those bucks to bed on you. Instead, you want to focus on pulling them over to you. So, in order to figure that out, whether or not you try for the full gamut where they bed and feed on your ground, or if you're going to try instead for a transition zone where you're just setting it up so they're passing through your ground going from bedding to feeding. And one of the first questions is, are bucks bedding on my ground, and will they? In order to answer that, you need to understand what mature bucks want in bedding. Does and fawns and young bucks, they are most concerned with safety and then convenience. Okay. Not much of a difference between number 1 and 2. There's a gap, but not a big one. When it comes to Mr. Big, it's safety and then other factors. Safety is everything to him. He tends to gravitate to a room with a view in areas with topography. What do I mean by that? That ridge, that military point, right about there. I can bed here. When the wind's coming down this way, I can use my eyes to see everything down here and my nose to see if anything's sneaking up on me. I can go ahead and break out any different number of ways to slip out of there before that hunter even knows he was ever there. Okay. Same for, you got a bench along that ridge, same type of deal. They can bed on that bench, have the wind coming over like this, beautiful. Plenty of escape routes, great view. Knob off that ridge, same type of thing. Okay, if you don't have ridges, next, cover. If you've got a thick, nasty swamp, especially if there's a peninsula, dry land going out into it and an island out in the swamp, that is primo buck bedding. Same time, the edges of those thickets. Just right on the edge so they can jump back into the cover just like that, or they often bed just inside. What I'm really trying to build at here is figure out whether or not mature bucks bed on your ground. If they don't, do you have the potential to make it so that they effectively will? If you can't answer yes to either of those questions, focus on either creating your property as a transition zone or a destination. Having mature buck bedding is nice, but it is not, I repeat, it is not essential. What is essential is that you don't waste your time and efforts chasing a tail that you just plain are never going to catch. In order to effectively set up our grounds, we need to understand whether or not the mature bucks will be bedding on us, or if we're better off setting up our property as a transition zone, or a destination, a food source, doe trap, place they check out during the rut. The way I go about figuring this out is A, what do I got to begin with? Are the mature bucks bedding on me? If not, are there things I can do to make them bed on me? And in answering that question, you also have to understand what's going on around you. If you are 100% surrounded by primo bedding, you know what? You may be better off focusing on food sources instead, or setting up doe bedding for during the rut. Understanding mature buck bedding is a key though. You get that down and everything else falls into place.